Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the meeting. Welcome, Lori. We get to
Thank
discuss your book
you.
today. I'm going to start with prayer because obviously we need it. Um, Father God, we just ask that this meeting goes well and let us all enjoy each other's company and just bless our conversation. And thank you that we can get together and talk about the things that we love and the desires that you gave us into our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so Lori DeJong, is that right? How do you say your name?
Yes. Yes.
I took that from I'm glad you posted that little thing where you said your name and my brother's thing.
Yeah, because very few
Um,
people actually get it right.
I could see that I wouldn't have. Um, so she is the author of Lord Love's True Measure, which I just finished. That was a really good book. Did anybody else cry except me? I cried.
Oh. I cried writing it, so I'm glad.
Oh my
Hmm.
I did cry. I cried. Um, and Lori lives in Texas, and this is contemporary romance. Have you all read it? I guess everybody's read it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Lori, did you want to expand on your personal, like, you live in Texas, like what town do you live in? And children, I saw there was a daughter maybe, and you
Mhm.
said two furry pets, but I don't know what those are.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in Georgetown, Texas, which is about 30 miles up the road from Austin, just north. And I've been married, it'll be 33 years next month to my husband, Eric. And we do have one daughter, Michaela. And I did her no favors with her name because it's Michael with an A and then the last
Mhm.
name DeYoung, and no one gets either of her names right. But she just got married and her last name is Petter now, so it's a little better with being
Hmm.
Petter. So a little easier for her. But she and her husband live up in the DFW area, and she works in broadcast, so she works with the Texas Rangers, Dallas Mavericks,
Hmm.
UTA, a
Oh,
bunch of
neat.
places up there. And she's a swim coach because she was a competitive swimmer for 12 years. So she's busy and living life and just doing really well. I do have two fur babies, Buddy and Lily. They're dogs, they're rescues. So I don't really know what they are. We know he's Beagle, part Beagle. We don't know what else. And she's just all diva. We just don't really know what she is, but she rules the world. So, but yeah, they keep our nest from feeling quite so empty.
Oh, that's cool.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to ask Lori some questions and then we'll talk about
Please.
the book. Um, so Lori, this is the third book in a series. And you mentioned how this one is your favorite. So I was curious as to why.
I hopefully it's because you improve every time you write a book. So hopefully it
Could
was
be.
because maybe I was just in the zone a little more. I don't know. But Shannon appeared, if not on page one of the chapter one, at least on the next page of chapter one, immediately. She was right away involved in this story. And as soon as she popped up, I fell in love with her and just thought, I have to do her story. She's just so perky and happy. And I thought there's got to be something under there, something's going on with Shannon. And so I just really wanted to explore that. And I really just had such fun. But I couldn't, out of all of the different guys in the first two books, I couldn't think of who would be her match. I just really
Hmm.
didn't come up with anyone. And I thought the opposite of Shannon is going to be someone who doesn't believe because she is just all in with God.
Hmm.
And so Hunter was my very first character I ever wrote that was an unbeliever at the beginning
Hmm.
of the book. So that took a lot of prayer and just a lot of sensitivity because I had to ask him some very
Right.
tough questions and do some things with him that were painful for him. And so it makes it painful for me. But but yeah, I just knew right away. In fact, the first time, because I had 2 years, it took me 2 years to write Love's True Calling. And then after I sold that one, I'm on Denise knows how this goes. We're both with Scrivening Express. All of a sudden you're on deadlines and you don't have
Oh
2 years
yeah.
to write a book anymore. And so, but Shannon, when she first popped up in Love's True Calling, she had a huge part. And I actually was like, this sounds like it's more like Shannon's story than Harper's. Harper was the
Hmm.
female protagonist of that book. And I had to really cut her back quite a bit. I had to say, okay, Shannon, don't need to talk so much in this scene.
Oh.
That's funny.
I had to like rein her in a little bit. I thought you're going to get your own book, so just hold on. But yeah, I just loved her from the beginning. So that was so much fun when I started her character development into, more
Right.
deeply as a main character. It was really a lot of fun with her.
Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
So, who did you guys have favorites in the book? Favorite character?
Well, Shannon, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I love them all. I mean, I just felt that. First off, Lori, I want to tell you that I think you did a fabulous job of embracing the culture of
Mm.
Christian Bible study and being plugged into the church and what that feels like. I was very fortunate to have a college group that
Mm.
led into married couples and all of that. And I just felt I could relate to that, which was great. I loved what you did with Hunter. I just thought he was a stand-up guy, but didn't know things, and it's hard when we know to envision ourselves with as a person who doesn't know. And I just thought you did a really good job of him being exposed and, and being challenged constantly with his belief system as he went along. I thought was just remarkably done. I loved all the characters, actually. I had a
Mhm.
lot of fun, reading all of them, wondering where things were going to go. But um, that's my 2 cents anyway.
That means a lot because, his was difficult for me. I was raised in a Christian home and, was baptized when I was 7 and then rededicated my life when I was 15. I went to Christian schools, and so writing him, I wanted to be very sensitive to what his arc might be to make it compelling and believable.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
I really like that he was a good guy before he became a Christian.
Yes.
Mm.
Like the way he treated her sister,
Yeah.
Mhm.
But he had some, I mean, it's
Mhm.
interesting the little things that can trigger us as people, right? With things. And he was, but I loved at the end when Shannon communicated like she wasn't believing in him and what that must have felt like for him. I just felt that was a
Mhm.
really good um catalyst for that dark moment for both of them to realize, she was reacting in a different way, but that was, a fear for him and stuff. Um, and that you brought Mitch back into the picture
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
was
didn't know if that was going
definitely,
to happen when I started. I'm mostly a intuitive writer or by the seat of my pants. I like intuitive. Doesn't that sound so smart? It just sounds like I write intuitively, but it's really just because I write by the seat of my pants. I know like the 5 major plot points and then I just kind of write to each one of those. And I didn't know if Mitch was going to come back or not. That just kind of, I thought I got a certain point in and I thought Hunter really needs to heal in this area and we need to see what that
Mhm.
emotion is like. So I had to bring him back. But Hunter was a challenge at the beginning because I wanted him to be a good guy. I wanted him to have integrity. But because of where he came from, he was very materialistic. It was very important for him to have a nice house and have the best, $15,000 leather sofa. And, I did a lot of research because I don't have expensive furniture. I had to go through and say, how much does a really nice leather couch cost? And I was working with a realtor in Fort Worth
Mhm.
and he knew it was for a book. And he gave me some ideas on where they would live and how much it would cost and all of that. But it was really important for him to have the BMW and to have the nice clothes and because he came from nothing. So that was what the whole idea of measure came from, is he was measuring his life on what he did for a living and what he owned and what his status was. And for Shannon coming from that, that was the last thing she wanted. She didn't want materialism and she didn't want to be known for things or a name, or anything like that. So that was a challenge to write to make him materialistic, but at the same time, a nice guy that people would hopefully
Mhm.
like.
you redeemed her brother at the end. I was
Yeah.
like wondering where I'm like, ooh, this could be a story, but you kind of ended up
Yeah.
answering everything. Did you think about, I'm sorry, I'm jumping into this. Did you
Sure.
think about having more than just 3 books in this series? Because you introduced a lot of characters.
I would love to. I had already committed to this next 3 book series. So if I do any more with the True Calling series, it'll have to be after 2027 because I'm
Okay.
committed through 2027 for this new series that debuts next Tuesday, by the way.
Oh,
I
Yay.
have a new book coming out Tuesday. But I would love to. And I don't know if I'm not familiar with everyone. I don't know if everyone here is a writer, but if you are, you will understand what I mean by a character saying, hello, you need to write my story, you know, and they're in their head. Well, that was her sister.
Oh yeah.
Delaney was like,
Yeah.
I need a story. Find me a guy. Find me a good guy.
right.
And so I may actually write a novella for her and use it. I don't have a reader magnet yet, so I thought I might be able to do something with
Well,
her.
you
maybe for
also
the-
introduced the Zach and the sister, the
Yeah.
other sister, like put them all, you
Riley.
could jump ahead, you know, so
Yeah.
many years or whatever. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many. Yeah. I'm in that
Yeah.
book right now. Every time I introduce a new one, I'm like, oh, I can do.
Ooh. I know, right? It's like, what can I do with this one? Yeah, Delaney really, but I needed her to age a little more. And that was another reason why I waited for Shannon to be the third book, because in the first book, she was only like 23. And I needed her to be a little bit older. I just felt like I needed her to just be a little bit older. And so I think she was 25 in this one, 25 or 26. I can't remember. I've had two books since then. So I'm like, I can't remember. I mean, I'm on the second book.
Yeah.
since-
There is a lot of details that you went into. We were in their daily life, which I
Mhm.
thought was really cool. Like, but that's a lot to have to like
Yeah.
keep, you know what I mean? Like when you
Yes.
write that, was that hard? Or is that how you write? Is you like to, you know, is that
It's difficult for me in a way because I always write too long and have to take stuff out. And so I was over 100,000 words with this, and it needed to come down to no more than, I think it ended up being 97 something, maybe. I'm not sure. I try to keep it around 95.
it is a thick book.
Yeah, it was long. I remember.
I had it on
Yeah.
Kindle. I only knew how many hours it was going to take me to read
Right.
it. So-
Right. That's how I was doing mine. I was on Kindle and I'm going,
Yeah, I really try to keep it between 90 and 95, but this one went long just because I couldn't let them go. I just kept wanting to work with them. But yeah, I do, you know, I write a very rough first draft. Like I said, I know what my 5 major points are, and then I write so things happen that I don't expect to happen sometimes. And I also tend to write really long. And then when I get done with my first draft, I go back, and that's when I really start the editing and layering in all the senses and the description and emotion. If it didn't come to me during the first draft, I will make like in big parentheses in all caps. I'll say research this, or set this setting, or this needs to happen in a coffee shop, but I don't want to have to go through and try to describe the coffee shop at that point in time. So I know to go back. I'm in Scrivener, so I just look, I do a search for brackets, and then I know where I have to go back to. But that's about the only way I keep track of. I do a lot with pictures. I kind of posted some to the thing. Those pictures I posted are probably maybe a fifth of the pictures I have when I do a book. I have pictures of clothing that they wear. I have a picture of the dress she wore at the ball, her parents' ball, and his tuxedo. I have a picture of his tuxedo. And
You should share those in the those be fun to look
Yeah.
at in the
No, I
group.
will. I'll do that. I had hoped to share it one more time, but I'm launching and I'm so busy right now, so I didn't have it.
Fully understand that.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just right now, life.
Does all your
And
work, do all your stories take place in Texas?
yes.
Okay.
It's my brand. So my tagline, or my brand tagline, is contemporary Christian romance with a touch of Texas charm. So that's all of my books will be set in Texas. Even I did a Christmas novella last year, and I made up a little town north of Dallas for that to be in.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So, I was going to ask about characters we don't like, but I feel like you redeemed them all. So
Yeah.
even though I suppose the worst one for me was Camden, and then, he came around. So I did like how you redeemed everybody.
I got kind of called on the carpet for that at a book club one time.
Oh,
A gal, and I'm thinking, my first thought was romance is not your genre, because she was like, I still believe in happily ever afters. I'm like, well, I understand. In my head, I'm thinking, you don't really need to be reading romance, because they're all gonna, and I don't necessarily believe in happily ever after. I believe in happily for now. And
Yeah.
that's a big thing with me with romance is I do like a happy ending, and I do like to, but she was like, everything in life just doesn't turn out perfect. I'm like, I agree. I completely agree. But when I'm reading a book and I come to the end of it, I want to go, oh, not like, oh, what? That's just me. I can't read a book that
Yeah.
ends badly or ends sadly. And so I don't write those either. Maybe it's escapism for me. I don't know. But I also do like to show that hope in the Lord pays off. And it may not always pay off in the way we think it's going to pay off, but we will always have more joy at the end of it if we wait for his work to be done and his leading. So that's what I try to show, but at the same time, show that life, I hope I'm showing characters that are still flawed enough to know people are going to know they're going to argue in the future. They're going to have issues in the future, but they stay together. That's the romance part of it for me, is that these people are choosing to do life with one another and to stay together,
Right.
even when things aren't great.
That's
Well,
really
you
good.
did have a
Just
bad
like we
thing.
do.
You had the Rick guy at work who made bad choices. He didn't get redeemed.
Sometimes that's
No.
true.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
yeah, he got indicted. You're right.
Yeah.
I guess
So,
there is that.
make bad choices, bad things happen. So,
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Lori, what does your workspace look like? What's your atmosphere? Do you sit at a desk at home, or do you go to a coffee shop, or do you play music or don't play music?
Yes. Yes to all of it.
anything that can get it done, right?
I mean, right now,
Yeah.
this is kind of my little work area. I got my, but it's got a day bed in here and everything, and a little place for my boy dog likes to come. He's not here right now because I have the door shut, but he likes to come and lay right here. So I'll work here at this little desk. I work in my living. Sometimes I just put my laptop on pillows and I'm on my couch doing this until my shoulders start to hurt. But I know that when I'm at home, I'm an empty nester. I really don't have a good excuse. I don't get as much done here. And so, like yesterday, I spent 6 hours at a coffee shop just working, and that helps me a lot. And a friend of mine lives about 30 miles north of me in a much smaller town, and they live kind of out in the country on several acres, and they have a little cottage. And she's a writer, so she understands, about how difficult it can be when you're distracted. And I'm on deadline right now and not anywhere close to being where I need to be. And she said, well, if you need to come out and stay in the cottage, do that. So next Friday, I'm going to stay 5 days in her cottage and
nice.
just work. Yeah. And
It just
it's
sounds
just,
amazing.
Yeah,
I know.
I know, doesn't
would
it?
love to have somewhere like
Great.
that.
It's wonderful. And I had a friend when I was finishing the one that's coming out next week. I was on a really tight deadline because I'm never doing releases 4 months apart because Love's True Measure came out in June and this one's October and I'm pulling my hair out. And I was anyway at the time because I turned in Love's True Measure and immediately, thank goodness, this one was. Did I raise my hand?
Yeah, I
Apparently.
think when you put your hands up, it did it.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know it was a thing.
That's funny.
So I was going crazy, and a friend of mine has a tiny house about 2.5 hours from here. She said, "You want to go stay at the tiny house?" I'm like, "Yes." So I went out there and stayed for 5 days in her tiny house because it was they use it for an Airbnb, and I was like, "Yes, please let me stay." So I went out there, and it was out in the out in the country. There's nothing there. Cows were my neighbors. It was really it was interesting, but I got a lot done. So I have to get away from home. So I go to the library sometimes too. I'll work just in common areas, but I've also been known to reserve a room because you can reserve them for 2 hours. And then for 2 hours, I'm in there by myself and I don't have anyone around or anything like that. But yeah, I do the library, I do coffee shops. My kids were just here. My daughter and her husband were just here and they were at the Sheraton that's here in Georgetown. It was gorgeous and it has this huge lobby. And I was like, I'm going to come down here and work because I'm on Scrivener. I don't have to have Wi-Fi. In fact, it's better for me to not, because then I'm not checking email and I'm not checking, all this stuff.
Right.
So I may start working down at the Sheraton until they kick me out. I don't know, but I do better when I'm not here. And it's strange because I don't have little kids or anything, but it's just easier for me to see. And I do much better if I have noise. I don't know what that is.
Oh, really?
Yes, quiet is very distracting for me. And my mind is a natural born wanderer. And if it's just too quiet, it doesn't stay on task. It's easier for me to stay on task if I have music. I almost always have music going. If I'm in a coffee shop it doesn't bother me to have people around and things going on. There's music going on. I go to this coffee shop where they play Christian music. And so that's really nice. And
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't bother me to have, now last night, a couple of the songs, they were really young kids were manning the place last night. They were, a lot of it was like Christian rap stuff. So I put my earplugs in and got back to my worship music, but for the most part, it's not distracting to me at all. I'd much rather be around people than be trying to work by myself, because I'm like, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. I listened to a writer yesterday, same thing. They couldn't work from home because I guess there's always something, you always have something feel like you have to do. So they went to coffee shops. And
and
once,
if I get stuck and the TV is right there, it's just too tempting. So
oh yeah,
when I'm out and about and I get stuck somewhere, I just work through it, somehow, whether if it's just going off on another page and asking my character some questions or what I might need to do. But when I'm home, it's just too easy to say, I'll come back to this and go do something
right.
else, whether it's watch a show or, do something else. And then I don't come back to it. So
Yeah.
Mm.
When did you first want to become a writer?
that is a really interesting question, because I think it was high school, to be honest with you. And I was in a creative writing class that was one you had to be accepted into. I went to a small Christian high school, and you couldn't just sign up for this class. It was my senior year. And this teacher discouraged me from ever writing. He just didn't think I had what it took. And it kind of just put the cap on that.
Mm.
But I would read these little Harlequin romances, like by the boxful. I was working full time, but I'd come home at night and just read these things, or during my lunch hour. I always had my nose in a book. And when you don't know what goes into writing a book, you think, I can do this. And so I was like, I can write one of these. And I sat down around 1998 and just started writing, and didn't join a writer's group till 2002. And thank goodness, because I wrote like 12 manuscripts in 4 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
thank goodness I never sent them anywhere, because they're truly horrific. And when I finally realized, oh wow, there's stuff you have to know, like point of view. I didn't know what point of view was. I didn't know what all the past, present, all the stuff, past perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know a lot of that stuff. I didn't know about story, the elements of story. I did not understand elements of story. It was like you're reading and you know what you like about it, but I don't know if you can, for me anyway, how I can verbalize it, like, I can see a lot of conflict here and that's what I like. I don't know that that's what I would have seen in a book when I see conflict and stuff, but without it, you don't have a story. I've completely forgotten what the question was. Am I still on track?
Yeah, when did you decide you wanted to be a writer, or when, or
Oh,
how long
okay.
was
So yeah, so that was it. So like right around 1990, I started. So 2002, I had a 2-year-old and I was a stay-at-home mom by this time. So I thought, I want to learn how to write. And it was Romance Writers of America. Had a wonderful education with them. And at some point in time during one of our moves, I used to keep all my day timers, or my things that had the calendars in it. And I kind of used them, not really like a journal, but just to, I would jot things down in there. And I came across one, and back in the day, I haven't done this in a while, but I used to sit down at the end of every year and write out my short-term goals for the next year, my medium-term goals for the next 5 years, and my long-term goals for however long I lived. And I found this list of my goals that I had written in like 1994. And on it, from a long-term goal, it said to be a published author. And I wasn't even writing. I wasn't writing at all. So I think I've had this thing in me that I really feel like God was just calling. Because when I started writing, I was really writing toward mainstream. Because I mean, no offense to the older, Grace Livingston Hill, and they were wonderful, but that wasn't what I wanted to write back in the day. And I wanted to write real people in real situations, and you just weren't really seeing that until people like Karen Kingsbury and friends. I'm not comparing myself to them at all, but I just mean that till they came on the scene and started writing these really poignant, real life obstacles in the way of their Christian characters, that people started saying, oh, well, that's what we want to see in Christian fiction. And so it wasn't until around 2003 or 4, I think, that I finally said, okay, Lord, I will write Christian fiction, because I was writing for the mainstream and all my characters went to church. They all prayed. They would not, sleep together. I was like, all my people are Christians, and it's not going to fly in the mainstream market, So, but as a woman of faith, there were just things I wouldn't put in my stories, and there were things I wouldn't let my characters do. And so I thought, yeah, the Lord's calling me to write. And then after that, it was just like, I just fell in love with writing all over again. It wasn't as much of it was always a challenge, but I think I finally found my niche, that I'm like, okay, this is what I need to be writing. And the stories, I just kept coming up with more stories. And so that was nice about it. But yeah, so apparently since at least 1995 or 90, whatever year that was, I wrote that goal down and I wasn't writing. I thought I want to be a published author. So yay.
Oh, that's really cool. That reminds me, I just read The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie. And it was the same thing where she had a list of goals that she found, and so it was funny. Like when she wrote
Wow.
like I
That's
think
very
she was
cool.
10 or something when she wrote it, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's sweet.
I know.
That's really sweet.
So is this the genre you always wanted to write in? Like, is this what you usually read? This genre?
Yes, definitely. When I first started thinking I wanted to write for Harlequin, I like longer books, clearly, not just to write, but I like to read longer books. I really like to invest in a character, whether it's my own or someone else's. And so the Harlequin things I could read in a day or two, even though I was working full time. I could just read, I would get them at the used bookstore by the box, take, a few weeks, read those, take them back, get a whole new box. And so but the ones I liked the best were the super romances, which were about 75,000 words, 75 to 85, I think was that one. Whereas most of the other Harlequins were all like 55, 60,000. And so that's what I was targeting when I first started writing and I got involved with Romance Writers of America. I really started targeting super romance. Actually submitted to them and got rejected, got a very nice rejection. She's like, please send me whatever else you have. Did I? No, I never did. Because right about that time is when I switched to Christian fiction. And I knew I love love inspired but I knew I didn't want to write love because they're too short. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're
short.
they're 55,000 and I just can't write that short. I don't know why. I'm just too mouthy or too wordy or something. I don't know.
The characters are different with those. They're not as deep.
Yeah.
And you don't, and it's funny you say that because I'm in the same boat. I love to read them because they're like sometimes a break in between
Yes.
your things. But after a while, that's not my, so I'm totally sorry to mean to interrupt.
No, not at all. It's nice to know I'm not alone in that. Because I do have some love inspired writers that I absolutely love. And when they come out with something new, I'll read it. But I don't think I could. And I've been tempted to try because I know that you can make some money with love inspired, but I just don't think that's where I'm being called, to write. So it's fun. In it for the money, I guess.
Well, you're exactly where you should be because I love that there's such a big range in Christian fiction, but yours is all the way at the end of there's so much Christian in your book, which I absolutely loved, because you really see how the Christians are struggling with certain things and you've got your salvation scene. And I just really loved that. You're really bringing the Christian message in a book that is so well written and so entertaining. And so no, I loved it. I really,
Thank you. I pray a lot about that because I don't want to be preachy, but but I love God so much. You know what I mean? I just love God, and I love scripture but I don't want to bang people over the head with it.
I think people who don't have that environment, they may not understand it, but for those that do, to be encouraged to see it play out in a fictional way that's similar to what we've experienced or want or any of that. But I love even for the kids, you introduced where she wasn't accepted in for the younger sister, and then she was, and she found her people in her Bible study group and things like that. And I think so many kids struggle and they have to find their place. And I think that, if there's a young parent or somebody reading that, it could encourage them to get their kids, it was real.
Yeah.
So,
Good. I'm glad
very
about
natural. It was very natural. I was wondering, the spiritual aspects of it, if it just organically happens as you write, or if you plan, or if you do more planning with what the spiritual answer is for each character, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. For Hunter, I had to put a lot more, for one thing, we write to a Christian audience. So I don't, that's the only one where I've actually had a salvation scene where someone coming to know the Lord. because most non-Christians are not going to pick up my book and read it. But I was going somewhere with that. Natural. So Hunter, I really had to put a lot more thought. I just prayed and prayed over that one because I didn't want it to be like, oh, he became a Christian and everything went great. No, he had some real issues, that he still had to contend with. And he was still angry. It was right after he became a
Right.
Christian. The very next day is when Shannon's sister had her DUI accident,
Mhm.
and that made him angry.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so real for him to
Yeah.
feel that way. That was one of those things where, as I'm writing, because I don't have everything plotted out, I didn't know how he was going to react. And so as soon as the police officer said she was being arrested for DUI, in his head, I felt like his whole world go whoosh, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I was like, that's how I have to write it that way because that's how he's feeling. He's like, what? There's no excuse for that. This person who did that killed my mother. And I thought he's not just going to go, oh, well, yeah, let's help Delaney. He's going to be, I am
Mhm.
ticked off at Delaney. I love Shannon, but it's going to be, she's my best friend, but this is hard for me. And I had to really work on that. Other times I have to say, there have been things that have come up in the writing that I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't expecting. A lot of that is the spiritual element. And I kind of have to stop and say, Lord, is this where you're leading me here?
Mhm.
And I just will share just real quick something from book 2, Love's True Home. Zane was had some tragedy. They all have things that happen, but he lost his little sister, and then his mom abandoned the family because she couldn't handle the grief. And then his dad got cancer, and when Zane was 18, he was passing away. And Zane and his family had been very strong Christians. His mom even had taught Sunday school, and theirs was the house all the kids wanted to be at. And it was just a really pleasant life until the little girl passed away. And then mom came undone and left the family. And so he went to his dad when his dad was on his deathbed, and he said, Dad, I don't understand why God is letting all this happen to us. He's been such a godly man, and I don't understand. And this father said, Zane, that's not the right question. The right question is, why not us? And I
Yeah.
took that from our own life because we had a situation, back in 2009 where our lives, I quit writing for 11 years because my husband got laid off in 2009 and I couldn't pay dues and I had to go back to work and life was just really, really hard. And it wasn't until I quit asking why, Lord, instead of really seeing that the Lord's discipline isn't discipline because we're being punished. It's discipline to make us stronger. And so when I changed the narrative to, well, why not us? Why shouldn't this happen to us? That it really changed how I really leaned into God. And so that's what he told Zane. Well, I was talking to another book club here in Georgetown, and one of the ladies there pulled me aside. Actually, she had a child. He was there with her. He was undergoing cancer treatments. And she said she had read the second one. She goes, I really now want to go back and read the first one. Well, in my first one, the female protagonist backstory is she lost a daughter, 4-year-old daughter to cancer. So after the talk, I pulled her aside and I said, I would love for you, to read my book, but let me just give you a trigger warning. This is what happens. And she said, oh, that's okay. She said, I have to tell you, in this book, in Love's True Home, when I got to that part where Zane's father said, don't ask why us, ask why not us, she went running in to her husband and said, read this, because they had been asking, why our child? Why us? Why is this happening? And then she said, we changed that narrative and we're finding all these ways through this that we're able to serve God in how we're helping other parents going through this. And I mean, I almost dissolved right there on the spot. And I thought, if you're the one person, you're my why. You are my why I do this, and that just, but that came extremely organically, that whole thing with him. I didn't know all that when I went in and started writing that. And then that's what kind of came out. I was like, oh, I remember us going through stuff where I was asking, why God, until I started changing that narrative. And so putting that in there, I felt like was just I didn't plan on that. And then to know that it actually resonated with someone, it still just gives me goosebumps when I think of that. It's not me, it's all God. It wasn't because,
Right.
oh, look at me, I'm so great. And I put this thing in the book. It was like God put that in my head at the time I was writing that scene. And that it was because of her. I just feel like she needed to see it, and if she was the only one, I am so good with that. I'm fine with that, you know. So
Right. Yeah, that's so awesome. That's great.
I was glad she shared that with me. You know,
Yeah,
he
no
was,
kidding. That's huge.
oh, and the boy made a complete recovery. He's not in cancer treatments or anything like that.
Oh,
Oh, that's
yay.
awesome.
He was only 2. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good. So for the readers, do you have a favorite scene?
Oh gosh, so many. Um, favorite scene. Wow, I loved the accidental date that they went on. And
Mhm.
then her taking, I didn't know that was going to happen either until she grabbed him and kissed him. I
I
didn't
liked
see that
it.
coming. And I thought, oh, okay, that's Shannon because she just lives for this moment. You know, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I feel. And I love that whole conversation they had at the cafe.
I think that
Um,
their meet cute was very fun.
That was cute.
Fountain and
Oh
just
yeah,
kind of,
that's that was
yeah.
good.
I was afraid people would go, oh, I don't like this guy and put it away, but I thought it's
No,
just the way it happened.
that was just so real.
Mhm.
Right. No one's going to be happy to have their phone end up in a fountain. So I thought, oh, people hopefully will
I
buy that.
like that his assistant
I
Mm.
was a
loved
believer as
her.
well, and that they were a team. I thought that was really
Mhm.
cool, and that together they kind of
Yeah.
tried to, solve the mystery or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think if there's some. I love the Sunday afternoon lunches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With everybody. Yeah. They're my
Mhm.
people. I mean, I kind of wanted to be at lunch with them, you know?
So it's funny. I just finished the third book, and I find I want to put everybody in. And did you
Yeah.
find writing those scenes with all the names and all the people were a little challenging because you had a lot of people in the room?
Yes, and as I went back, I don't know about you, Denise, but I every time I've gotten one of my books, as soon as it comes in the door, I sit and start reading it. I've read every single one of my books in book form because I think it started with Love's True Calling because it had been a dream for so long,
Mhm.
and to actually see my words, I mean the words that God gave me, but to see this something I've been working on for 2 years and to see it in a book, I sat and read that thing cover to cover, and I knew every word, but it was just so cool. I've done that with all of them. So, I'm sorry. I keep going on these squirrels and I can't remember where I was. Oh, people. So when I went back and read Love's True Measure, I thought I have too many people in some of these scenes. Like I could have left out Reed and Jenny because they didn't have a story. They were just that was
Well, that's
Wyatt's
why I'm like,
brother.
oh, there's more
Yeah.
people here to be
Yeah.
able to do stories.
And Mason and Rhonda played such a huge part in Wyatt and Harper's story, but not so much in Zane and Ellie and Hunter and Tara. I could have possibly left them out too, but I just love them all, so much. But,
Hmm.
I got to thinking, if I were to go back and rewrite this, I might have left some of those people. I might have just mentioned they were there, but not given them any dialogue or anything like that, just to make it a little
Right,
easier.
right. Um, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
What surprised the readers? What surprised you guys in the story?
That whole connection with the lawsuit with her brother, I didn't see any of that coming.
Yeah, I was
So,
just thinking that too.
mhm.
I
Where
agree.
when he was studying Hunter at the dinner and then
Right.
leaves, I'm like, what's that about? Like that was definitely
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. I didn't expect the John Grisham thing.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah, neither did his assistant.
well, and then
I.
you have Hunter on video taking the money.
Right.
That
That
Right.
was a big deal. And it's funny, my husband and I have been watching The Lincoln Lawyer, so I'm all
Oh.
like, oh wow, like
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
um
honestly didn't know how it was going to end when I started it. I wanted it to be something that had to do with her family, but I didn't know how it was going to play out until we got farther along. I say we because to me it's myself and my characters. When we got farther into the story, it just, I thought it has to come down to Cam, and
Mhm.
the company.
the hot
Mhm.
chocolate. I'm like trying to
Oh,
think
that
Oh
of
was sweet.
yeah.
very sweet,
Mhm.
her drink and he knew it and that they had that tie-in together as friendship and stuff was cool.
Mhm.
That's glad. I'm going to have hot chocolate packets made up with the book cover on it for some swag.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
great. That'd be
Fun.
great.
that
Yeah.
would be
You have
great.
something to say, Karen?
Oh, I was just thinking about that whole, when you were talking about favorite scenes. It's not one of the happy scenes, but one that I thought was so well done was when, just you were saying, Denise, about him taking the payoff, and then she sees the video, and then she stops believing in him, and then her sister comes back like, you know this guy, and just the way their whole conflict of how she was used to being let down by all the men in her life, and like how this all came into the relationship, and the fact that they talked this whole thing through, and they really understood. Like, I just thought that was so deep and so well done, that these are real, like, whenever you're coming into a conflict like that, they're both bringing their background, and as a reader you can see, well, no, he's doing this and she's doing, but I just thought that was so well brought together. And I loved that it was her sister that's like, no, dude, give this guy a chance. Because, like,
Right.
so
Makes me
that
so
was
happy
like
that
that.
you said that, because when I
Mhm.
first wrote it, it was Harper that was
Mm,
telling, and I
mm,
thought, it's got to be Dee. I just thought it has to be Delaney because she's not a believer. And
mhm,
I think she's the one who had to see something and remind Shannon
Mm-hmm.
who he was even before he was a,
mhm.
because she's not
Mm-hmm.
at this point not a believer. She's kind of coming around. So I'm so happy you said that, because with my critique partners, I said, throw out that scene. I think I'm going to rewrite it with Delaney. And they were like, Delaney? And I said,
Oh
well,
no.
I really feel
No, it
like it's
fits.
Delaney.
Mhm.
And
I
then
think it fits.
when they read it, they were like, oh yeah, it is.
Yes.
It works so much better.
I
So
liked it.
that means so much that you actually mentioned that, because I had to, that was
Mhm.
one I had to completely rewrite.
Mhm.
Okay, so
No.
everyone else on this call is really, really quiet. Karen and I are all blah, 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 blah.
Oh, so if you have questions, anybody have questions for Lori?
Mhm.
Questions? Leah, I'm not sure how long to go because we started late, kind of.
I have a question.
I think we
Um,
can go about 10 more. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kathleen.
oh,
Um, I think it was about 8 after when we started. So if that helps you.
Okay, so around there.
Yeah, around
Okay.
there.
Thank you. I just didn't want to hold anybody up or whatever. Okay, sorry, Kathleen.
I'm gonna have to run anyways. I've got another Zoom with another writing group.
Oh,
But I did have
ow.
I had a real quick question. Um, with the legal profession in there, do you have experience with that, or did you have to do a lot of research?
I was a personal injury paralegal for about a decade. So
Oh,
I had a
okay.
little bit in there. The corporate law thing, I had to do a whole lot of, I worked for a small personal injury law firm. I didn't work for a gargantuan law firm. And I had to do a lot of research on, like what kind of law firm would have over 100 attorneys?
Oh,
What would the different, like, levels be, because he started out as like a clerk,
Mhm.
associate,
yeah.
junior associate, senior associate, and he sped up the ladder. So the next thing would be junior partner, right? And so I wanted to look up what they're, because I wanted him to have a lot of money coming in. I thought, is that reasonable? Well, yeah, it is. I mean, my goodness, junior partners or senior associates in these large law firms make like 200 or $400,000 a year. And
Wow.
I was like, wow, I was a paralegal. I wasn't making anything like that.
You mean you're
But
not
I did
making
know.
that as a Christian writer?
Yeah.
I mean, come
Oh
on.
no. Yeah. Right. I'm so upside down, but it's okay. It's all good. But yeah.
Yes,
So
I had to
personal
start
injury. I
paying
knew
for
the
my
person.
email list today.
See, I haven't gotten in
Mhm.
yet, but I think I'm going to switch to a different one so I don't have to pay. We'll see.
Mhm.
But because I'm almost there. But yeah. Anyway, well, I was over 500. Are you on Mailer Lite? Yeah. And so I went through and took everybody off who hadn't opened any of my emails, and I
Mhm.
came down to like 420. So I was like, okay, that works. But anyway,
My
that's the only thing
friend
I
did
got.
that, and she found out that some people have some kind of security so that you don't know if they open the email or not.
I just
Oh.
found
She's
this
like, she
out
went
at a
into.
conference we were at.
Mhm.
Apple, because of the new security protocols, does not report back. So if they're on any type of Apple, like the laptop, the computer,
Oh,
or the phone, it will not tell you and count. And so they give more of a generalized number. So there's no official count on related to that. Just
oh, okay. Yeah, she was
I
like, oh
go
my
in and
goodness, I
I've
got
been
rid of
Oh
these
boy.
deleting
people.
some of mine that don't open.
Well, if they miss me, hopefully they'll go back and resubscribe.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's how I feel
I'm
about
doing
it,
good.
Lori. And I have over 2,000. And so if I hit 2,500, they charge me way more.
Mm.
Oh,
Wish I
wow.
had that many. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the question, Kathleen. Did I answer that? Did I answer it for you?
Yeah, you did, because I always have a hard time trying to come up with different professions for, my characters, but I'm real tentative when I don't know anything about it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this book that's coming out next week, he's a bodyguard. I know nothing about bodyguard. And
Okay.
it was fun. It was fun
do now.
research. And she's a defense attorney. So I had no experience in that regard, so I had to do a whole lot of research for that. But yeah.
Do you seek out real people that do those things, or you just do all internet insurance? Insurance
I
research?
start with AI, but when I ask
Okay.
AI, I say, please cite your sources. And then I check their sources.
Right.
And then if I can get with someone, like a friend of mine has in the book I'm writing now, the female protagonist is a large animal vet. And a friend of mine has a friend who's a large animal vet. She said, I could hook you guys up. I'm like, that would be so great, because I would love to talk to someone real. And I had my dog at the vet the other day, and I was like, so what about this? And what about that? And I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm writing a book and she's a vet. So that's why I'm asking you all these questions. It's just like, just email me anything, questions wise. So when I can draw someone in, like that Fort Worth realtor, I just found him by accident for Love's True Measure. I was just looking at Fort Worth real estate downtown, and I wanted a refurbished older building, and I found his website, but to look at any of the properties, you had to put your information in. 8:30 the next morning, I'm getting a text from this guy. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'd like to help you with your Fort Worth real estate needs. And so I just got right back to him and said, I'm an author. This is all research. He said, my wife's an author. What do you need? And he was amazing.
Oh, that's
nice.
so sweet.
Yeah. And they were Christians. It was like, wow,
Great.
So he sent me all these buildings that could look like this building or that building, or this is what it would cost. And he knew I wasn't going to buy anything, and he just spent all, it was wonderful. So,
Did you send him a book?
not yet, but I need to do that because he's in the acknowledgement. Jeremy Smith of the Smith Realtors, or whatever it was.
That's funny.
Oh, and fun fact, in Love's True Measure, Miss Nadine, that was the woman that saved her life. Essentially, that's my grandmother. I dedicated the book to her, and I thought, this has to be my grandma. When I
that's
started
so
writing
sweet.
about Miss Nadine. So that's who that is. So
I love
it made
that.
it just very special for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Evie. Appreciate it. Oh, that's so nice.
Sorry, I have to go.
Okay. I know we're running like behind a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's okay,
okay.
but I liked meeting you, Lori, and I
Oh,
loved
thank you for coming. I
yeah.
appreciate
I'll see
it.
you around the group.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'll be sticking around. This is great.
Everybody
I love
else.
book clubs.
Okay.
So
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
I'm
Bye.
gonna have to run too. I gotta hop on the other one. So this has been really fun. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. It's nice to
Thank
meet you.
you.
Whose book is next month? I don't even haven't looked.
So
Me.
next month is Denise Colby, and the title
Yay.
is
You mean
When
that
Plans
book I
Go
read
Awry.
like 2 years ago, Denise?
Yeah. Well, no, it came out last year. But you and I have been helping each other with our launch, so it was a while. It was, yeah.
It's been a while, yeah. That's what I'm
So
saying.
this one is my first in my series,
Okay.
When Plans Go Awry, and it's set in 1869 Sacramento, California area. So we're jumping to historical, and one room or schoolhouse, school marm, one room schoolhouse type of thing and all that.
With a frisky rooster.
Yes, with my rooster friend Bert.
Bert.
So you'll see some posts about roosters this next month. But I'm super excited. This book was a Carol Award finalist this year in the debut category, and I just found out this weekend it won third place in the BBB, which is our book buyer's best for and so so very excited that for some people seem to like it.
That's great.
Affirmation is
Yeah.
wonderful.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, especially as I finished the third one in the series, and I'm like, are people gonna like this? I'm like, I'm not sure. So I do have a prequel novella launching November 4th that's set 2 years before, that's tied to this one that we'll talk about. And so that's launching. So I have, like Lori, a book launch, finishing one, and then doing this. It's like the, wow.
Yeah. A lot of multitasking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very much
We'll
so.
look
I think
forward
we're
to
all in
the
that boat.
summer.
It's amazing once you have more than one, what you are juggling.
What you
Yeah.
juggle around. Yeah, my
It's a
little
whole different
novella
animal.
thing releases tomorrow. We'll see how that goes.
Yes, I
You
saw
have a
that,
release
Lynn.
tomorrow?
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Oh,
Pretzels and pirouettes.
Exciting.
nice. Nice,
It's a short
nice.
one.
Mm.
Very
Well,
This
I
is mine
guess-
that's coming out next week. It's a suspense.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask, what are you working on now?
Yeah,
So you have
there you
mistletoe
go.
now.
Let me see if I can
Nice.
put a
Yeah,
picture up here.
it comes out
Y'all have
Tuesday, and I'm
probably
working
seen
on
it because
book
I've had it
2.
all over everything. Let me
Thank
find it
goodness.
really quick. You know,
I
you
love
do
the
that, you
cover
put
on
it
that,
everywhere.
Lori.
I do
Very
too.
I am so happy with the cover because I knew for the True Calling series, I really had a good sense of what I wanted. For this one, none. You should have seen the questionnaire I sent back to Linda.
Oh, it's got
Ooh,
rainbows on it. It's not supposed to have, but anyway.
it's
Very nice.
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
I
cool.
love this season, all the Christmas stories coming out.
I know. That's great. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for coming. I'm sorry about the video. I don't know. I wish I had some way to practice before the next one to see what was
Oh.
maybe it'll just work magically. I don't know. Anyway,
Who's the
thank you,
one?
Lori, for the conversation. That was
Oh,
great.
thank you
Yeah.
for having I can talk about it all day.
Isn't
I
that
Thank
know.
you
I
so
love
much.
chatting and writing. So anyway,
Yeah.
Denise, were you
Good job
asking
for
who's
coming.
moderating next month?
Yeah, is that you, Karen? Are you moderating for me? No, who's the one moderating for me? I don't
I
remember.
don't
Let me
know.
look it up real quick.